Why do so many people say Black immigrants in America are more successful than Black Americans? And there is more to this story than you realize. Welcome back to Chats with Faith. Credit goes to the original creators for every single clip used in this episode. And just a quick disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes and discussion. It is not meant to hate or discriminate against anyone.
Why are Black Africans doing way better than African Americans?
Because
it's not race.
The people
it's not race.
The people that are willing to cross the Atlantic Ocean, you're already selecting for a hyper. Do you think poor people from Kenya are coming to the United States?
They are.
You think poor? No, they're not. Nigerians in the United States are the highest immigrant group of PhDs. More than white people, more than Chinese people, more than anybody else. Some of your most highly educated groups of people in the United States are people from Kenya, are people from Nigeria. The experience of an African immigrant in the United States is way different than the experience of an African American. If you're an African immigrant, you might as well be white or European.
What?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Just what part of that do you understand? If you're an African immigrant coming to the United States, your outcomes in life, the places that you live, the education you have, you're more on par with an upper-class white person than you are with a person who's a descendant of
the biggest difference is the mindset. It's not the circumstances,
it's not the mindset.
environment.
It's the families that you come from. Somebody that comes from a family that's driven enough to get their children or themselves to move to the United States from Africa, this is a highly driven family. This is a lot different than somebody whose great-grandparents weren't allowed to buy a house in the city because they were redlined out by a bank in the United States.
Highly driven is a mindset.
Bro, literally speaking, I get what you're saying, but you can't say that because people might get inspired from watching a TV show. You don't know why they came here. So you can't really say that.
No, but I'm saying you're selecting for the people that were inspired enough to come over.
Now, today we are diving into a topic that has everyone talking, the perceived success of Black immigrants compared to Black Americans. Some people claim that immigrants are doing better in school, in politics, and even in business. But are these claims based on facts, assumptions, or something deeper than most people aren't seeing? We're going to watch some video clips from creators sharing their thoughts, break down what they are saying, analyze the reason behind this trend. By the end of this video, I'll give my opinion behind this conversation and why this debate keep sparking so much discussion online. So as you watch, make sure you drop your opinion in the comments, like this video, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of this topic. Trust me, what you're about to hear might challenge everything you thought you knew about success in the Black community in America.
So there's a conversation that keeps popping up online, and it always sounds the same. Africans come to America, get degrees, become doctors, engineers, and lawyers. They build businesses. They buy homes. They hustle. And then somebody says, why can't African Americans do the same thing? You all have been here all this time. You've had grants, loans, scholarships, opportunities. What are you doing? And then the other side fires back and says, hold on. Immigrants get opportunities we don't get. The system treats them differently. And just like that, we're in a fight. But before we pick sides, let's slow this down a bit because there are facts here. And then there are some assumptions as well. So, first fact, many African immigrants in the United States are highly educated. Nigerians, Ghanaians, Kenyans. Consensus data shows some of the highest degree attainment rates in the country. That's real. But what doesn't quite get said out loud, immigration, at least to the US, is very selective. You don't randomly show up in America on a student visa or a skilled worker visa. You qualify. You're vetted. You often already have an education, English proficiency, financial backing, or professional credentials before you land. So we're not comparing average populations here. We're comparing a pre-selected group of high achievers to a population whose history in this country began with enslavement. That's not really a fair baseline. Now let's deal with the other claim. Are immigrants getting special grants or free money that African Americans can't access? Broadly speaking, no. Federal aid like Pell Grants and student loans are available to citizens and eligible non-citizens. In many cases, new immigrants don't even qualify for certain benefits immediately. Undocumented immigrants definitely don't. So the idea that there's some secret pipeline of government money just flowing to African immigrants over Black Americans doesn't hold up under policy reality. But here's where it gets a bit deeper. African Americans aren't just Americans who didn't try. We are descendants of people who were legally blocked from building generational wealth for centuries. Slavery, black codes, Jim Crow, redlining, exclusion from home loans, underfunded schools, mass incarceration. And if you think about it, that's not even ancient history. Redlining maps existed into the late 60s. Some of your grandparents, definitely my grandparents, were directly affected by that. You can't compare outcomes without comparing starting lines. Now, here is the uncomfortable truth on the other side. Some African immigrant communities place extreme emphasis on professional careers. Doctor, engineer, lawyer, nurse. Failure is not an option. The cultural pressures produce results, but culture doesn't form in a vacuum. African Americans were historically pushed into labor pipelines, not professional pipelines. When you're locked out of universities for generations, your economic patterns evolve differently. That's not laziness. That's structural shaping. And then there's the psychological layer that nobody wants to talk about. Many African immigrants arrive with intact cultural identity. They know their tribe, their language, their lineage. African Americans had that violently stripped away. That identity disruption truly matters. Confidence, community cohesion, social networks, those things compound over time. Now here's the part that truly bothers me personally. Once you're in America, the police officer doesn't ask if you're from Ghana or Chicago before making assumptions. The broader society doesn't distinguish as much as we do. So while we're arguing about who works harder, we're both navigating the same racial perception system. And if you ask me, that's where the real questions live. Why are we even fighting each other over who deserves more credit? Instead of asking why two groups with shared ancestry were shaped so differently by history and policy. Because here's what I see. Immigration selection bias plus American racial history equals a comparison that was never built to be fair in the first place. And when that comparison gets weaponized, it becomes a political tool. One group made it, so systemic racism must not be true. That argument sounds clean, but it ignores centuries of accumulated disadvantage. At the same time, we also can't ignore agency, discipline, education, cultural expectations. Those matter too. This isn't about making excuses. It's about understanding context. So if I can get back to my original point, if Africans succeed in America, that's something to be celebrated. If African Americans succeed despite centuries of systemic barriers, that is something to respect by all. But turning this into a competition, that's just a distraction. The real conversation isn't who works harder. It's what systems shaped each other differently. And what do we do about it now? Because if we normalize comparing outcomes without comparing history, we keep arguing in this vicious cycle. And the structure that shaped both experiences will stay untouched.
Black immigrants are more successful than Black Americans because they outwork us. I said it. Now, I have seen this over and over and over again. If I'm dealing with a Black person in any sort of business capacity, you're dealing with people who do not show up on time. You're dealing with people who do not treat their business like a business. They treat it as like, some side project and, you just broke, man. And, I don't have to give you good service. I don't have to be on time. I don't have to show up like a true professional. Now, Black immigrant business owners are very different. They are very hardworking. They show up on time. They come to America with the mentality that they're going to come here and work and build something, whereas Black Americans, and yes, I am 100% foundational Black American from slaves, okay? That is how Black American I am, and I will tell you that Black Americans have a very entitled mindset. We're always waiting on somebody to do something for us. We are always waiting on government handouts. We are always waiting on somebody to do something for us. And when we get positions and when we actually have businesses, have companies or whatever, 9 times out of 10, they're run terribly. I have had some of the most terrible experiences that you can ever have when deciding to deal with Black American business owners. Now, don't hate the player, hate the game. Don't hate me for saying what is really real. Black immigrants are outpacing Black Americans because they outwork us.
Why does immigrants do so well in the United States? Have you guys noticed that? It's very simple. Because they came from a country that doesn't even have any opportunities. So when they come to the United States, they found the opportunities because Americans are lazy, complacent. And I always tell people this, comfort is the biggest downfall of the entire nation. And it's easy to be comfortable. It's easy to sit on a couch and binge watch a TV show all day long.
So Black immigrants that come over to the United States, basically anybody post-slavery, oppression, all that different stuff, come in here dirt poor. I mean, have less money than you could imagine. I'm talking about they get here with $0 and they got to figure out a job. And they all move into the ghetto with other Black people. So at that point, the playing field has been leveled. They're both impoverished blacks. No one cares where they came from. How come the immigrant blacks have a staggeringly higher success rate than American blacks? When they're both have the same skin color, they're both living in the same circumstances, and apparently they're both targeted by the system the same. Everyone wants to tell me it's not mindset. Mindset can't change.
When my family moved to the United States of America, I still have a family members there. You know what they were being told? They were being told that they should be careful, you know, because the black Americans are dangerous. They should not be around them. They should not hang out with the black folks in the United States. Don't you know that the system that is put in place, yes, the system is against all the black folks in general. But once you as a black immigrant who came from Africa and go to the United States, because now the system knows that, you know, you are not American citizens, number one. Number two, you know, if you also did something, they can kick you out from the country as soon as possible, but they cannot do that to other black folks. So now what the system does is that they will favor you against other black folks, because some of these family members who immigrated to the United States, they will tell me that, you know, they will just look at them in the eyes, tell them that, you know, do not work with the black folks, you know, do not work with these black people in America. They are dangerous. They are this, they are that, you know. But why in reality, you know, all these things is not true. They are just doing these things, you know, like just to put pressure on the black folks, you know, just the minorities among them, you know, just to fight among them because of the system that is putting pressure on the black folks in the United States of America. And some of my family members will even tell me, for example, like that, if their friends, you know, go to places to look for a job, you know, they will give them a job because they have an African passport, but they will not give the same job to the black folks in the United States who are looking for the same job. The system is just corrupting them for them to be frustrated, you know, so that they can just cause a chaos or things like that and put them to jail, because the system is all about that. But you do not understand this thing as a black man. But whatever freedom you have today in the United States of America is because of the black Americans. You have to know that. Whatever freedom a Chinese man got today in the USA is because of the black Americans. Whatever freedom I don't know, the Mexican has today in the United States of America is because of the black peoples fighting for the civil rights. You know, this is what you have to understand. So the system will favor you as a black immigrant also a little bit than the black Americans. This is how the system is put in place in the United States. So I think it is time for you, people who thinks like this, to open your eyes, you know, and work with the black folks in the United States to know that you are all in the same situation. The system is just playing you. You think that your success is because of your hard works, and these other black people, they do not work hard. No, in fact, the black people in America are more successful than the immigrants, the black immigrants who are in the United States of America. This is just the truth. So your hard works comes from the hard works of the black folks in the United States who have sacrificed their lives, you know. Their children were being raped, you know, over and over to fight for these civil rights. And now you got that freedom. So you think that because of your mentality and your hard work, you get more success than them. No, the system is against them. That is just the facts.
I'm an African American. I'm the only person in the world who's had issues or who's faced discrimination. No, you're not. American black people are not the only people who've gone through hardship in this world. The same way slavery or the history of America has an impact on black people, history itself still impacts black people across the world today. And that's what a lot of you don't seem to understand. Your great-granddad or your granddad was a slave. Fair enough, innit? But so many African nations are still being affected by the West today. Look at Congo as a clear example. It doesn't have to be slavery in your face for it to still be slavery in your face. Do you know where the resources in your iPhones come from? Congo. Them man are still going through it right now. I'm an African American. I'm the only person in the world who's had issues or who's faced discrimination. No, you're not. I'm an African American. All these people are stealing our culture. It's not really you. It's because of the country where you're from has this real big impact on media. So yes, a lot of us in the world, white, black, blue, pink, grew up on American culture. Not specifically black, but hip-hop is cool. Hip-hop is dominant. Athletes are cool. Like any child and every young person in the world, you look up to people you can identify with. So if you see a Michael Jordan, a Tupac, a Biggie, a Jay-Z, you're going to admire them and you might adopt elements of their culture. It's not rocket science. It's not that deep. You're not the only black people who have to navigate being a minority in another part of the world. So relax.
Had black Americans been paid what they were worth, $20 trillion, what would those numbers be? But here's the thing. The differences in black behavior amount to $20 trillion. You can tell me it doesn't amount to that. There's no way. Like if we say, hey, listen, black people, forget about everything that was denied to you. All the wages, all the land, all the money that was just stripped away, one thing after another. Forget about all that for a second. If you just would have worked a little harder, we wouldn't see that kind of inequality. When I look at that, I can't look at those numbers and not think about discrimination. $20 trillion is discrimination. You know what I mean? That's what that is. I'm not a radical leftist, apologist, woke sociologist trying to make excuses for black people. But in fairness, that's a lot of money, man. Everybody else, that $20 trillion, that went into people that look like me. You could call this some kind of affirmative action for my people, because we didn't give it to them, we took it from them, just like we took the land from Native Americans. Half of all black Americans are middle class. Don't think black and think poor. You have your wealthy black Americans and poor black Americans. So don't just assume think black and think poor.
And black women are complaining about 50-50. Girl, we are in last place. Look at it, income by ethnicity. We are in dead last place. Well, I'll never go 50-50 with my man.
You know, I wasn't even going to talk about this, but since I keep seeing a whole bunch of people talk about this and refuse to use their brain, you know what? Might as well give my take on it. You know, marriage, building, generational, all that shit comes from a partnership. That's what 50-50 is. 50-50 is a metaphor for partnership, because if both of y'all get 50%, you're going to get 100 out of it. It has been historically proven that we are at a disadvantage and we spend the most money, and you don't think we should come together as one? Like, if you look at any stereotypical establishment, whether it's a 7-Eleven, a beauty supply store, a Chinese food spot, a Jamaican, whatever food spot, store, whatever, the whole family is in there working. And eventually they make money and they open up more stores. And the family stops working. They hire people. They're building. And the main problem with this is most people react to this off past trauma and emotions. Like, you lived through it. Learn from your mistakes or whatever you went through and move on. That's how you get better at something. Trial and error. But nope. Black women gonna point the finger at the black man. Black man gonna point the finger at the black woman. Like, bro, at some point, y'all gotta get tired of being a Spider-Man meme.
Do you know what happens when you come over here as an immigrant? The government got to pay for you. When you come over here as a refugee, why do you think the Ethiopians have these shops? We brought them in as refugees because we're trying to prove to the communist world. Okay? And that's why. Why do you think the Indians, 7-Eleven and all that? The Koreans, for the time everything you picked up, they made in Korea. But nothing we made that a Korean want, so the government made a deal with it. So we can get some of our money back. So we'll bring you in and loan you money to open up businesses, because you have to pay us the loan back.
I'm going to tell you as a black person, you must support black businesses. You ain't crazy. So, all things being equal, this is what I would like for black people to understand. Jews do not support Jewish businesses just because they're Jews. That's not true. All things being equal, you as a Jew have the same quality, value, and service as all of your competition. The tiebreaker is, I'm a Jew, you're a Jew. You get the business. That's the tiebreaker. But all other things must be equal. So I could tell you as a black man, you must support more black businesses, but you ain't crazy. And you're not going to spend your hard-earned money if you can't get the same quality, value, and service for your hard-earned dollar anyplace else, right? So we have to ramp up our game. We have to compete.
I ain't never saw a soul food restaurant in Chinatown. And I don't think it's because they don't like soul food. It's just they're not going to patronize someone that is not their own. I don't blame them. Good for you. I appreciate you. I just wish more of us thought like that.
Most people don't know how to accept us, even though we made it out, even though we making art
And they don't know how to accept us in their circles now. So when they say you're going to rap for us, they don't even know if that's disrespectful sometimes. Steve Jobs, when he died, he had $300 billion in his personal checking account. Did you hear me? And he couldn't make 58. I got an old trifling uncle in Chicago, stay drunk, can't read, can't write, cuss out everybody, and just keep laughing. He 101. Maybe Steve Jobs should have followed him.
Most of those stores never worry about scholarships for their children. We are the source of their children's scholarships to school. While we are buying their products and threatening our children, telling them we ain't got the money, their children are going to school on the money that we are.
If you're watching me and you're a Black American and you're proud to be a Black American, I want you to do me a favor. Write in the comment section, I am proud to be a Black American. Now, I'm going back to those clips of some of the arrogant immigrants, and I want to share something with you. For those who don't know me, my name is Faith. I am an African and proud African, even though I am not proud of what some African brothers and sisters are doing in America. That's why so many of us have this platform to express ourselves, create awareness, and speak openly. A lot of Africans come into America thinking that Black Americans are lazy, undisciplined, misbehaving, or even into drugs or illegal activities. And honestly, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. That's when I realized that some of this opinion are coming from people completely outside in the lived experience of Black Americans, often based on absorption or what they see rather than the full reality. Most of the Africans who go to America are those born with silver spoon, whose parents can afford whatever they want. They are rich, smart, and highly educated. They work hard, and after graduating, they achieve success. And here is where things get a little bit tricky. With that success, which sometimes comes with a bit of arrogance, some of them start asking, why can't Black Americans do the same? But here is the truth. When you compare successful Black Americans versus successful immigrants, these immigrants really have nothing to compare. The problem is that many of them only look at struggling Black Americans, not the ones who are already thriving. Many Black immigrants forget that in America, opportunities aren't equally available for everyone. Some people can easily get loans, grants, or investments, while many smart Black Americans with great ideas cannot access the same funding to bring their ideas to life. So when immigrants disrespect Black Americans online, claiming they aren't successful, it shows lack of understanding and how the system works. And that's why we Africans are here to speak out. It's time for immigrants in America to recognize these realities. Once you understand how the system works, the disrespect stops and the harmful comparison stops. I want to say I truly respect Black Americans for calmly and respectfully explaining to those immigrants. I also want to acknowledge the creators who are putting out this explanation to educate and clarify, even when some people don't listen. I know it's frustrating. All Black American want is respect from both sides. Peace and love to you all. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it and drop your thoughts in the comment section, especially what you think about these immigrants who are saying they are more successful than Black Americans. I want to hear from you. See you in my next video.